right, guys, I'm all suited up. So the weather is getting cool and it's pretty much the end of the summer. So now's my chance to go and see what the honeybees did for honey. If there's any for the taking, I might just take a small sample. But I'm going to look in there, evaluate their situation, and then prepare to feed them for the rest of the fall until our really freezing weather comes. So let's go over to the hives and check it out. They are looking strong this morning, and that's because I fed them some syrup last night. And so they're really, really active right now. This time of year, the bees are a lot more likely to be defensive and stingy. So I try to be as careful as I can. So a lot of them are on top here. So what I'm going to do is try to separate out the frames to see if there's any capped frames. And the capped frames I'm going to pull out, and then I'm just going to feed them really heavy for the rest of the fall. I've got two handy tools I like to use for this job. One is a nuke box, because you can rest your frames in there and close it up so the bees don't get into it after you pull the honey frames out. And if I need to make room, I use this frame hanger. And I can get some frames out of the way. So I suit up a little bit more for this job, but I don't put on gloves because gloves make it really hard for me to grab anything in here. So that's a good frame of honey right there. This side is all capped, however, this side is not. So I'm gonna leave this one in the hive. I'll just hang it out here to get it out of the way. The frames I'm interested in are the center ones, so let's see if I can pull them out. This is very heavy. What I'm seeing is capped honey on this side, a little section that's not capped, and then more capped honey on this side. So this is one I want to grab. But the trick is, how do you get the bees off, right? Here's another one. Big chunk of capped honey on this side, and this side as well. This side not capped, not very heavy, so they haven't really put up any honey, just a small amount on this side, so not worth really taking. This is about it for this hive as far as honey harvest. We have plenty of time to feed them again before winter, so they are not, it's not like I'm stealing all their food. It's just a small sampling of the 3 frames right here. This is what I was hoping for. This hive was super strong. This was my strongest hive. So I think that's it for this hive. I'm going to check my end hive. I think it was about a week and a half ago I checked in this hive. So there's really, this is just a bare honeycomb frame. No honey. So they really haven't put up anything in this box up here. So I'm probably actually going to take it off. So the next trick is, how do I get the bees off? So the tapping first, I'm going to get all the bees to kind of fall into the box. This is a high-risk sting activity right here because they're defensive, but I'm going to try to tap them all in, brush them off really quick, and then throw them in the box down here. So that is my plan. Let's see if I can be quick about it. Should take less than a minute. Quick with your brushings, get all the bees off, quickly put them into the box, cover it up. See how fast I'm being. Okay, brushing, brushing, brushing. There's definitely other materials you can use to get bees off frames more quickly. You can use fume removers, you can do all that. But okay, and that's it. Only 3 frames, so it's really quick work. The bees get irritated, but you can pretty much put the cover back on real quick after you remove your frame hanger. Throw that on the ground. So yeah, they're irritated, but if you're quick enough, they don't really know who caused it, so they're not looking at me. and I've got my little, I got my prize right here. I got my prize. So that was definitely quick work of it, guys, but I'm getting out of here right now because kind of disturb them a little bit, and I don't want them to find that box and crawl their way into it. So I'm gonna go take this inside. Well guys, we're at that exciting moment. I love this time of the year where you can get your honey and start to bottle it up into jars. So I set up my table with a couple of silicone mats because the honey gets everywhere. There's nothing you can do about it. I've got a nice glass bowl here, and then I'm using a paint strainer. This works really good. So what I'm gonna do is cut out the honeycombs and then put them into here, squeeze the honey through, save the wax in here, and then I bottle the jars from the bowl. So the extra wax I give back to the bees so they can clean that up. All right, so what I need first is a big knife. And let's get the most exciting honey frame out of the way. This is probably just the one frame that was pretty solid. It looks like they got about 3/4 of it. So, let's see, there's a little bit right there, not much right there. And these frames are wired, so I'm just gonna cut out the rectangles. Had I had more to harvest, I would have got an extractor and done the spin out, but with just the 3 frames, it wasn't really worth the expense to get a small extractor. I was talking about making one, but maybe next year. We'll be optimistic that it won't be a drought year. So 3 frames of honey on a drought year, I don't know, we'll see. It's only the 3rd year of doing honey up here, so the 1st year the hive was just getting established. So I'm excited to have anything, really. This is very clear honey. Oop, there goes a chunk. So I'm just gonna cut out all the chunks first. So this is ready to go back in the box, and I'll be putting this outside for the bees to clean up. This one's another pretty full frame, but this side didn't really get a lot of honey. You can see the open cells, and then they start capping it right here. So this is the part where your hands get dirty. What's a good practice is to have a bowl of warm water and a washcloth nearby so you can wipe your hands when you need to. So I'm going to fit as much as I can in here. Like I said before, this is a method that I'm using just because it's only 3 frames. So I definitely recommend using an extractor and doing the whole spinning method of extracting honey because, like you'll see here, there's a lot of waste. You're wasting a lot of honeycomb, and that's a lot of work for the bees to be making that honeycomb. And so if you can save all their honeycomb and you can give it back to them, even though it's empty, that means they don't have to make new honeycomb. So they're getting about 1/3 of their honeycomb back. But I'm hoping next year I'll have maybe more than 1 hive producing honey. And I have some ideas I'm going to share with you about how to do that, how I'm going to make my hives a little bit more prolific honey makers. First step is to make sure one of your hives doesn't have a mouse living in it all year. Ah, look at all this honey. Remember what I said about that bowl full of hot water? Warm water in a washcloth? This would be a great time to have it. Where? But it's really good. Oh my gosh, fresh honey is delicious. I can't wait to get this in the jar. Okay, here's the fun part, putting it in the jars. I'm not really great at eyeballing, but I got a couple quart-sized jars and from the basement and some pint-sized jars. So we'll see how much we can pour in. So it makes it a lot easier when it's in the bowl already. You can just dump. If you can aim, that helps. Of course, I went for the narrow mouth jar first. All right, well, it looks like the quart jar is where we're at. So, I'm getting some on the table. I'm going to do a pint jar next. And actually, I'm going to refill my current honey jar. You could use a funnel. I did have a funnel pulled out, but I'll be honest, the funnel takes forever. The funnel is not my favorite way to do it. When you're doing small scale, this is just small scale honey harvest. When you have an extractor and all of that stuff, and you have a honey gate and you have the pail, it goes a lot faster because you're working with much larger amounts. But well, it looks like our honey harvest this year is 1 quart and 1 pint. Not bad, I'm not complaining at all. It's definitely a treat to have honey at all. I can tell by the flavor it's not full wildflower honey. It tastes a little weak. So it's definitely some sugar water honey mixed in there from what I've been feeding them, mixed with the wildflower nectar that they've been harvesting. But I've definitely got some ideas for next year. I'm going to be planting a lot more clover. I've got some clover that I purchased, and I'm going to be spreading that where Brian did a lot of the excavation along the sides of the driveway. So I'm hoping that'll really help the bees have something to forage on next year. And just looking forward to, every year I feel like I'm learning more and more about managing bees at high altitude. It's definitely a different ball of beeswax, if you can appreciate that, compared to keeping bees where you've got a lot longer of a season of flowers. So guys, thanks for joining in. It's exciting to have you come along on the journey with the bees, kind of see it come to fruition, if you would say, with your honey harvest. Now we've got to get the bees ready for winter. So that's going to be the next task until the cold weather really hits us. Guys, take care. We'll see you next time. Bye.